Good morning. Good morning. Good morning, everybody. How
Good
is
morning.
everybody going today? We are live. Welcome, everybody, to Landscaping to the Point. Uh, it's a nice, uh, kind of cloudy day here in Ohio, and we're here to talk about landscaping, other things, and just normal daily stuff. So, welcome, Josh, to the show again this week. JC's out. He has an emergency he had to take care of. Josh knows what he had to take care of, but we're going to keep it on a down low because sometimes you got to reduce things. So that's all I'm going to say on that one. So, how is everybody going on? How's everybody doing today? Like I said, this is Landscaping to the Point. We are here today. We are going to talk about some really good things. Josh has this dialed in. He's got it down to the T. I've been in business over 25 years and I still don't have that dialed in, but Josh does. So, Josh, we're going to talk about processes and systems and how to put them in place. So, I don't even know where to start with this one because it's just one of those topics that you're just like, man, how do I go about getting a process going and how do you start a system and all that stuff. So, give me a little bit of a process that you got going on for your business.
Well, I mean, I wouldn't say I have it down to the T. I mean, it's always you're always pivoting and adjusting as your business changes and you grow. But I mean, it's down to the basics. I mean, think about it. Your personal life from the moment you wake up, there's a process. You know, when you wake up and
Right.
you go to the bathroom and you brush your teeth and you wash your face, and maybe not in that order,
Right.
but those are all processes. So it still it falls into, when you finish all that morning routine for your personal self going into work, if you have a crew, if you're a sole proprietor, um, having the basic routines of like checking the oil when you get in there every day and going through everything, air pressures, doing those routine checks. Those are small things you can do that when you do evolve as a company and start to grow, you pass those small processes on to your employees or your employee. And it
Right.
really does start at the small stuff, like having a small punch list for tools, having a small punch list for first aid, checking the oil on your truck, on your mower, your compactor, whatnot. Those small things start, and then everything you do becomes a process built in from a system, and then obviously systems systems work, private life, professional life, and when you systemize things and just simplify them for people, think of places like Home Depot, Target, Lowe's. Like everything in that company is a system and a process of how it goes down, from returns to shipping and receiving, the stocking to the hiring process. It doesn't change from store to store. The store managers don't get to create their own way of doing things. They don't get to create their own handbook. They have to go by what Target writes up or whatever writes up, and they work. These places are still in business. They've been in business for 50 plus years. A dog wants to get involved in this conversation right now.
Yeah, he wants to talk about his process in the morning.
Yeah.
So so okay, so we're talking about that way. So would you say do you have it all written up to where you could just be like here to a crew member and say this is a process, or do you go about like telling them a process of how you want it something done?
Like a lot of it's verbal. I
Okay.
am probably this year going to start more into writing things, so guys have something. Not so much to say like, "Hey, I wrote it down, I taped it up, I gave you a book, you signed it." It's more or less like, "Hey, here it is in writing in case you ever have to go back and reference it, and you're not sure. Maybe you're
Right.
embarrassed to keep asking the same question." But more and more, it'll be one on one of how it works. But as you grow, I mean, these companies that are massive, you can't do that. That's why everything goes into an employee handbook, and you have that reference point. But I mean, I think this year, my goal is to really step out of the field and not have my knees on the ground as much, or my boots on the ground.
Right.
And by doing that, I have to delegate work, but I have to make sure these guys know exactly how I want things done. And we started with this winter with the snow of really delegating tasks and saying, listen, this is, if I was here, this is how I would be telling you to do it, and this is how I would do it. So this is the reason why, and they see the value behind
Okay. So so do you have a handbook? I mean, that's a good one that like I know we have a handbook. The only problem is that we haven't updated it in years. So, I mean, I guess I probably should start updating that. But do you have an employee handbook?
No, I don't.
Ooh, okay.
Yeah. Well, I'm a big thing. But you know what's funny? I had a big debacle with insurance for snow coverage this year.
Right.
I had some verbiage that I needed. And speaking to someone from World Insurance, there was a woman out there from California. She was really great. And we got back into the liability of things, and when insurance companies are looking, if there was an incident, whether it's on the workman comp side or the liability side, what they look for. And that's all stuff that I was kind of like, I don't need that shit. We're small enough, we're minus 10 people. We're not that big of a company where it's like, all right, like I can handle this myself. But no, these are things that need to start being in place. So I do recommend it when you get to a certain size. Some people will have it for 1 or 2. I just didn't see the need for it.
Right. Not a problem. I'm just wondering. I mean, I know a lot of people do have them, have them. Some people don't. I mean, I do recommend having it. Like I said, I haven't updated mine in years. So, I mean, I think that's about time to be done. But yeah, I think everybody should have a handbook and thing and process, and then have your process of everything that you need to be done. So now on your processes, okay, and you tell a lot of it verbal. When you go to write it, are you going to write everything out like how you want it done, to kind of like to the daily day of how they should start a day? Or would you just say, okay, like this is what we're going to do for laying pavers today, this is what we're going to do for doing walls?
Yeah, I mean, those all become like industry standard, and then obviously like I have my input of like staging product and equipment. But I mean, as far as the installation process, we follow industry protocol on that, maybe a couple overages we do, but I mean, that comes hand in hand. As far as like the daily stuff, like, yeah, like you'll have tasks that'll be, it's not going to be tedious, where I'm going to have, 2 pages devoted to like, hey, from, 7 a.m. to 7:30, this is what you should be checking. I'm not going to babysit or micromanage. That's where foremen come into play, and they get to do that stuff. But you have specific tasks, maybe for a specific person. Someone's better with automotive, but it'll be written up, but simplistic.
Right. Really simple. I mean, I get it. I mean, you want it to be simple. I mean, they always say, keep it simple, stupid. I mean, that should be, a motto of pretty much everybody. I mean, you don't want to like totally take it out longer than you need to. Nick from One Love says you got a lot of winter weight on. You need to have boots on the ground. I think he does have boots on the ground, Nick. I mean, sometimes you get your feet out of the boots, so you leave them on the ground, and you just keep walking without them sometimes. So, oh yeah, you just lost your mic.
Nick knows all about boots. He's got to wear weighted boots in the winter so he doesn't get blown away by the snowstorms.
That's right. That's right. Yeah. So talking about boots, just to let everybody know, we do have a sponsor now. Cujo Yardware is now a sponsor of the Landscaping to the Point podcast. So I want to thank them. You guys can go to the link in the bio if you're on Instagram. If not, there's a link on our YouTube now for each episode that you can be able to click on it and save 10%. And they have a sale going on now till February 1st where you can get up to 15% off. So if you want to try some boots out, definitely go over there. So Nick, go get some boots, definitely go try them out. So
my internet got choppy. Who was it?
Cujo. Yeah. Cujo's now a sponsor for the show. So thank you, Cujo, for sponsoring us. So, yeah. So other thing, okay. So you use, a computer system. I use Jobber. You use QuickBooks or whatever you use. I know you use Jobber a little bit, but do you have a process of how you put in work into it? Because I know that's always a process of how when you put in for an estimate or something, there's a process to all that too.
Yeah, I mean, that's it. Again, it's pretty streamlined. So like I have my rates set up. I was using Java for quite a long time. It just doesn't, it doesn't fit for what we're doing now. It's more for someone with like, maybe 20 plus clients consistently for the week. On this side, I can schedule a different way through Google Calendar or something like that. So maybe we'll circle back. We still use it. I have to pay for it because I have logs in there from forever. But yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, like we have processes where it's like our square footage for pavers, where it breaks down. Now, I don't base my pricing on pavers just by square footage. It usually goes into time and material, and then I'll break that time and material down to square foot for the person if they ask. But it's easy to put it, so I can go in and say, hey, 200 square feet by $30 a square foot. In the same, and that includes, my bedding sand, my dense grade base, my edging, my poly sand, all that, and it rolls in. So I just gotten it to the point where, that's how we created, rather going, hey, $5,900 on pavers, $10,000 on labor, $700 on sand, just breaks it down. And, some people ask me for a breakdown of it. I don't do that. That's not how I do it. That's not my process.
Right. Okay. Yeah. I mean, I think there's pluses to breaking stuff down, and then there's sometimes negatives of breaking things down, because then I feel sometimes the customers go on, if you say it's going to take you 10 hours to do a job, a customer's going to be like, okay, you were here 8, so why am I paying the 10 hours now? So I think in your processes, you need to look at, like, yeah, you can break down how much materials you're using if you really want to, in your system, but hour wise, it's kind of one of those things that I don't like to do, because literally, our time can change daily, hourly, sometimes depending on what materials are in there and what, ground is. Do you see that too? Is that why?
When it comes down to like itemizing and things,
Yeah.
People do want to break it down and see what the cost is, but again, the cost is the cost. Like it's not gonna.
Right.
When it comes to like the development work, sometimes they want to see it, but even those guys, they know per square foot what the labor is. I've had customers that do it, but again, it's like it's more time taken, and especially if you're writing a free estimate for a smaller job, it's like, I'm trying to expedite that process as fast as possible. So,
Right.
I mean, we know what the costs are. They are broken down into a sheet. We know what the pavers cost. We know what the hydro seed costs. We know what the grass seed costs. Yeah. But so I gotta let the dog out of the cage. It's driving me nuts right now. It's distracting myself. But yeah, I don't know if that answers your question, but
Yeah. Yeah, I get it. I mean, I definitely get it. So going from here on out, you're going to start writing a handbook this year. You're going to start writing the processes down. I know you're going to go to where you're going to try to get back onto like just the back end of the work instead of being out there as much as possible. Is that correct?
I'll still be out there. But like I said, it's less hands on. And it's not
Right.
that I don't want to do the work or I feel like I'm above the work. It's just I can't grow and get the work that I need if I'm busy with the shovel in my hand or something. So
Yeah, you're more managing it. You're there to help out when it needs to be helped out, but you're more of the managing role and trying to work with your business, not in your business all the time.
yeah, correct. So like in essentially, like, instead of being the guy that thinks that like I have to shoot all the grades, I have to run on the string line and check the measurements, I kind of have to release that and say, hey, you know what? This is the system of how we do it. This is how we set up grade. We walk into a job. This is what we do. You have that, you'll have your ground crew that'll come in and do your demo, and then you have your grade guy that will come in and shoot all your grades.
Yeah. I mean, I think that's always a positive to have that type of a role in your business, because it helps you grow your business and be able to expand your business, and you're trusting in your employees. And that's what you should always do, is trust in your employees. And it gives them more responsibility and gives them to where they're not like, oh, okay, this is a dead end job. I'm stuck at one position. I'm not, I'm not advancing. But you're at this point, then they're advancing. They're learning more about the business. They're learning about what to do. They got more responsible for shooting the lines and everything. And it's all on them, in the long run.
Yeah, and then you think about it, like when you allow them to have that opportunity and that responsibility, it becomes. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
So when you allow them to have that opportunity and responsibility, it becomes more of a career than it does a job. So they're learning, skilled labor in a sense, where they can shoot a grade with a laser or a zip level. They know how to set pitch. They know ADA code and all.
Your mic is just having fun today.
No, I'm finding out because my dog's jumping all over my wife across the room right now. He's so excited that it's my ADD is kicking in full blast.
Oh.
he gets really excited when he sees my wife. And I had, like, you talk about system and processes. I kind of failed on my system and process with him this morning, so he went into the cage.
Oh, I took mine out this morning. I took
Yeah.
both of mine out this morning, first thing this morning, and they've been sleeping since. So
Yeah,
I mean,
he's usually pretty good, but he just wants to be out right now. So
yeah. Oh, I get how they are. They get to that point where they're they want to run and jump and all kinds of stuff. So yeah. So you have this dog now, and the dog's more more all over the place. So how are you training this dog?
yeah, he's doing good. Yeah, he's Roddy Lab, so he's
Right.
got like severe ADD. He's got doggy ADD. That's the one thing with the
Right.
Rottweilers. They like squirrel moment. See you later. But I mean, he's good. I don't know if you can hear him in the back. He just gets extremely excited when he sees my wife. But he's been coming out on the road with me for assaulting and stuff. So it's
That's
he's
awesome.
not a big fan of the plowing. But
No, I don't blame you. I've been taking the new one out with me every once in a while, and he does not like it when I get out to do any shoveling or salting. He goes nuts. He just sits there and barks the whole time. But yeah, he mostly just sits there and wonders, like, why are we going on a ride? Like,
yeah,
where are we going? why do I have to go in this car right now?
right.
But yeah, he definitely, mine hates the shop. He does not like the shop because of the loud noises and that just it's funny.
Yeah, he lost his mind when I took him plowing on the last, Jesus Christ. I took him plowing on the last snow event, and when the blade hit the ground, he was fine driving in the
Right.
truck and the salt to go and everything. But once the blade hit the ground, forget it. He howled and barked the entire time.
Yeah, something about those loud noises. I don't know what it is.
But you know what's funny? We're having a conversation about, to get back to the system and processes. I'm distracted as hell here, so I'll tell you that. But I went out to dinner last night with an old friend of mine who's kind of like a computer guy, and
Okay.
he's got brothers that are all like in the trades and stuff. And he asked me, he said, "Are you using AI in your business?" I said, "How the hell do I use AI in my business?" And it dawned on me. It's like, all right, AI. He's got a lot of guys writing their employee handbooks and their customer contracts through AI. Hey,
Okay.
AI, give me a contract for lawn care, and it basically brings. Can you take that away? It basically breaks it down to, it doesn't give, from what I saw, it doesn't give you the actual contract to write. But I'm gonna pull up, and the thing I used was Chat GPT. GPT.
Yeah, I've been hearing a lot about chat.
Yeah, so it's like it'll bring up, you said, "Hey, write me a landscape contract." Landscape contract, parties involved. This agreement is entered into by between your company name, hereinafter referred to as the contractor, and the client's name, hereinafter referred to as the client. Then it shows you number 2 scope, and it's pretty basic scope of work, but it just organizes what the contract should be for you. Now, disadvantage of using AI for employee agreements or contracts and job contracts is the liability is on you. So if you misphrase something or misword something, then that liability is on you. If you're an attorney writes this, you then the liability. It's the same thing when you subcontract or you use an engineer. You then that liability and you put that on a third party. When you do this, you don't have that buffer zone. But it is great for someone that's trying to break into the industry and have contracts. It may not have $500 to $1,000 an hour for an attorney.
Right. Do you feel that, okay, here we go. So now that you got onto AI and doing paperwork and all that stuff for you, do you feel AI is going to change the industry in any way?
Yes. So you've already seen mowers, right? So robotic mowers. So like when AI comes out and, they're already starting, like, I don't know if it's Toro or who it is that already has the stand-on mowers that are AI or robotic. But yeah, that's going to change the industry where, a commercial company like Brightview, for instance, could go out and pull up to, a commercial or an industrial park and just with the enclosed trailer and mower, it comes out. I mean, dude, look at Amazon. Amazon's cutting down their labor force by like 30% by having these robotic shipping stations.
Right.
So I think eventually, I think it's going to be a slow trickle. I don't think it's necessarily going to hit, landscape and the trades right away.
Right.
But I think at some point you are going to see an impact in it.
Okay.
There's such a demand for a labor force that why not? If you can find a way to implement that with the labor force, I mean, why not?
Okay, so here's a good one. So a guy that I know was showing me the other day that they're getting more advanced with AI and robotic, not robotic mowers or anything, but by robotic people. So do you feel in say 10, 15 years down the road that that's going to change?
As far as like
Take out the workforce.
robotic people being involved in the industry,
Yeah.
a robot,
Yeah.
perhaps like on the manufacturing side, like an Echo or a Still or a Red Max or something like that. As far as like people, I think you're a lot further out than that. I think you're gonna have you'll have the mowers, you'll have things that can really come. Hey, come here. You'll have yeah, the dog. That's Jinx, guy. Sorry. Hold on one second.
Okay, go get this dog. So there's more advances in this robotics here, and I do see eventually, in my opinion, I do see robotic people or machines taking more labor workforce too. Like Josh is saying, more in manufacturing, maybe. Maybe a dog, maybe a robotic dog that listens.
The robotic dog that listens.
You got to hold him. That's what it is. You just got to hold him.
Hold him. He's like 110 pounds. Hey, come here. Hold on.
Oh, maybe that'll work. You never know. But yeah, I do see them being more advanced into the technology of doing manufacturing work first. So that's definitely a plus in the business. Yeah, see, you're good. Let the dog talk. He'll talk.
Talking to the mic, buddy. You want to be a good boy? You want to sit here? No, he doesn't want to sit here. Wow, this is a distracting episode. This has never happened before.
It's because usually you're up in the attic. Now you're in the
I know.
See
what happens when I come out of mom's attic?
Yeah.
Oh, motherfucker.
Yeah, see? You're going to have to go put them up in the attic soon. Dogs. You got to love dogs. Sometimes they are awesome. Sometimes they're a little bit fun. And then they're just funnier than other times.
Holy crap. See what happens when JC doesn't show up? Jesus Christ.
Yeah, I know. Because he doesn't hear JC's voice. He must be getting sued by JC's voice. That's the problem.
Yeah. So as far as AI in the industry, right? Think about self-driving cars, right? So Tesla already has that in the works. Volkswagen had the hovering cars 20 years ago. They were beta testing in Germany. So from what we were discussing, within 5 years, you're going to start seeing these flying cars where, instead of saying, hey, manufacturers are going to sell these cars for $30,000-$40,000, they're going to come out with, they already have with the lease option where you can lease a car for $200 a month. There'll be a yard in your town, essentially like an Uber.
Right.
You lease that car, you hit a button, that car picks you up. So it's going to be the same sense with all right, now you're going to have, the Tesla truck that drives itself with its trailer and can pull up to that yard, that area, and let these little AI robots out and mow lawns. I think that's where you're going to see the beginning of it.
Okay. I mean, see the robotic mowers as a plus, but everybody that I've talked to that has one, it's just there's so much issue still with those.
But dude, look at how much technology has evolved since 2000 to now in 24 years, 23 years, we'll call it. Right. Think about the iPhone in general. You were taking pictures with the Pixel flip phone at some point,
Right.
Now you're recording and uploading to the internet where someone in friggin' Singapore can talk to you and watch your stuff. So I think within 5 years, you're going to see this crazy advancement in it where you're going to have companies that really look at it like a Bright View, like some of these big landscapes of America, whatever it is, really going to benefit them where they could cut out hundreds of thousands of dollars in payroll and liability and workman's comp per year by having these robots or whatever you want to call them in place. And it just completely switches system, because now you're not worried about someone getting a weed whacker, like a weed whacker throwing a stone in an eye or a piece of glass. It's these bots.
Yeah,
I have a lot more.
I feel like I feel like it's coming, but I feel like till they can solve out the issue of just like somebody weed whipping, like a machine weed whipping. Like they got the mowers. I mean, yeah, they got the mowers, and the cost of that mower is outrageous. But like you still got to figure out the weed whipping. You got to get the edging done and the blowing. I mean, as soon as they can figure all that out, where they have a machine that does that, I mean, I could see it totally taking off like crazy. You know, I mean, yeah, it's a time saver if you have one like a right mower, or Toro's been working on one that that is able to go out and just mow a yard if you map it all out by GPS. That's awesome, because then you can just go ahead and get you're reducing your labor force down to one or two guys instead of 3-4 guys for a big project that you're doing.
But and that's what I mean. And like, look at like how many times do you reference like Google Earth to size out a fertilizer job or something without even going out there? So now you put a takeoff software into the hard drive of these computers or these AI bots, and it's all over. Having fun,
right?
I just see it as look at construction, for instance, right? Like I remember a year ago, I was in New Hampshire driving right around Salem, New Hampshire. They were building this new development, and I had to look like 3 times because there was a skid steer with nobody in it and a panel up top, and I'm like, what the hell is that? And I had never seen like the whole virtual heavy equipment thing. And then when I went on, I mean, look at it now. Like you can have a guy in Britain running an excavator in America just through like a video game. So it's essentially the same thing, but like you cut out all that middleman. So now from what I understand, you can't purchase that excavator. That excavator is owned by the company, and you have to rent or you have to lease it for a period of time. But still, think about it. You're not owning that machine. You're writing off that lease the entire time. You're cutting back on travel and room and board on that employee. Like essentially, you might need a foreman or 2 on the ground. And I think that's what it's going to come to, where Scott Acme Landscape pulls up with its Tesla truck and its bots, and you maybe have a foreman on there that's like delivering a bill or doing the weed whipping. But I think once they get to the point that they can do that, they're going to have that figured out, man.
Oh yeah, I think once that's all done,
the weed whipping and all that.
Yeah, I think that's where it's at. I mean, it's
just
the cost.
Back to where I was going with it. So
AI,
like it's great, I think, for stuff like this to. Can you get me?
To do your paperwork, yeah.
If you can see the phone,
contracts and
small stuff like that.
Yeah,
just to get the gist. And when you start getting bigger, obviously, like lawn mowing contracts and small hardscape jobs, they're great to have, and they make you look a little bit professional. You have to word them. There's some editing to do, but it's when you don't have the cost or money's tight, I think it's a great option to have.
So now, okay, with the AI doing that, you could probably do all your systems and processes and your handbook through that then.
I would believe so. I mean, I'm going to actually look up what the handbook would look like and how to put it. Like I have an idea from like, a lot of I have an idea what I want to have written up there. But I'm curious to see what it comes out to. But yeah, you could essentially do that, and you're essentially just proofreading it yourself just to make sure it's correct.
Yeah, I don't see why it wouldn't be able to be done. I think it's going to be pretty much easy on that. So, I mean, I know AI is going to keep advancing. So, I mean, I think after a couple more years, I think it'll be advanced to where literally you could just say one word and it, like say employee handbook, lawn care, and it's going to totally pull you up like, 15 pages real quick. I think that's where it's going to come out from here on out. So now, do you feel that it'll affect your business in the long run?
You know what I think?
I mean, lawn care, I can see it going that way
indirectly.
Yeah. Okay.
So I think it's gonna benefit me. So the direction we're going, where some of the jobs we're going on are open shop or closed shop, meaning union and non-union. I think the first effect it's going to have is in the trades for the union. and not to dog on the union, but obviously, when you have a project that's going to cost $7 trillion and take 15 years versus AI can come in and cut that cost in half and do it in half the time, I think that you're going to start seeing unions being phased out, and you're going to see the private sector taking advantage of the benefits of AI. It's still going to be a capitalist thing where, like, obviously the bigger the big can only take on the cost of $1 million excavator lease for 6 months and whatever else comes into. But I think indirectly you're going to see possibly more doors open. Will it hurt smaller guys? I think absolutely, like, especially if you get into like the lawnmowing side of it, and now you get a medium to large bots and charge half the price versus we're still pulling up with our trucks and our trailers and trying to get things done.
Right. So because the AI is doing a lot of this work,
I mean, I'm not worried about it in the next 5 years at all.
Well, I hope you don't worry about it. I mean, I think it's going to be a while, but I mean, you never know. I mean, the way stuff has advanced, like you said, in the last 25 years, I mean, I remember from when I was younger, I mean, things have advanced way a lot. And over some years that I've been around, I'm not going to say exactly how many, because some people know how old I am and some people don't. But I feel like everything's advanced, and every year it keeps getting more and more advanced in technology. I do think that, we're going to see a lot more advances in technology and AI all over the board. So, everything's going to change from here on out. Okay. So we talked about processes. We talked about AI. Give me one thing. Here you go. I got this one for you. One thing that you won't feed your dog. How about that?
Onions, obviously.
Onions?
That's good. You can't have onions.
You'll give them
one thing I wouldn't
garlic, though?
I think he has with, like, I'm not sure, to be honest. Like, if I give him, like, I make him steak, I'll do like salt and pepper. That's pretty much it. Like, he's had broccoli, he's had peppers. I try not to give him anything with sugar in it. That's kind of a big thing. Like, it sucks. Like, we'll go to like Starbucks or something. They ask for a pup cup, and it's a no. I'll give him like a cup of ice or something. But I try not to give him sugar. Maybe here and there, like a little treat. But as far as like meats and veggies and stuff, he goes ham. This dog will eat anything you put in front of him. He lives for food. Sweet.
All right. So going forth, let's say for the rest of this year, you're going to put a handbook together. You're going to get more of your processes dialed in. Do you feel that in, say, 10 years, if you're still in business, and I know you probably will be, I'll be dead by then, but in 10 years, that you can advance your business and double it and reduce labor costs? Yeah, I probably will be in the nursing home. Yeah. With AI and all the technology that's coming about.
So in 10 years, I'll be almost in my 50s. And what was the end of the question? The internet kind of broke up a little bit.
Well, do you think you can reduce labor by using all the new technology that's coming out left and right?
Not that 50 is super old, but I think at that point, I think I'd be trying to think of an escape route rather than advancing the company at that point. At 50 years old,
okay.
My end game is not to stay in this company. It's to have the company, but it's to cash flow it and get, like, my intentions right now of being almost 40 is to figure out systems and processes that people can come in and streamline this business, simplify it as much as possible so that in a couple years that I can essentially collect a paycheck and not be as involved in the company. So at 50, I would hope that wherever the company is, they would adjust to whatever the environment is for technology. Okay. And I mean, you're going to have to. I mean, I feel like if you don't adapt when it comes to that, like, you're done. You're out.
Okay, so
I feel like lawn landscape and like outdoor construction is a little weird, though. I feel like we're like dinosaur with times on certain things, like there's apps and stuff you can use. Like, they have plows and mows, the app where, like, it's almost like the Uber of lawn care, but that still never took off. Like, I just feel like there's like a dated process with us where we're like 10 years behind and everything.
Okay. So
pricing as well.
I know you're more of a gas guy, but do you see battery being more effective in your business from the next couple of years? Because I know,
More effective in my business?
yeah, effective in your business. Because I see that the World of Concrete just ended, and they DeWalt came out with a lot of new battery powered compactors and stuff like that.
I saw that. Yeah, I saw Milwaukee. Yeah,
and then Milwaukee had some advances. So do you feel like you can use those in your business? And would you go that way?
I want to say no, but I'm kind of ignorant to the subject, to be honest with you, where I don't know enough about it. I look at I have battery powered hockey drills and grinders and cutoff saws. And for what we do, if we're using a 3-inch or a 4-inch cutoff saw, and we're trimming and we're doing radiuses, that battery is not lasting that long. So I'm wondering, I did see the Milwaukee compactors an advertise. I think Mark Thomas had an advertisement for them. And I am curious about it. I would like to learn more. Because I think it would have a benefit. I think the repairs would be a little less. The warranties would probably be a little bit longer, and bad gas or spark plugs, or you get rid of combustion and all that shit. That it's all right, now it's simplified where it's wiring and a motherboard. It's under warranty. Send it back.
Right.
So I would like to try it. I don't think as of right now
that
I could sustain that. The cost of batteries, you'd have to have an infrastructure of charging systems throughout a trail. I mean, can you imagine doing 11,000 square feet in battery powered saws? How many batteries?
You'd have to have a lot of saws. You'd have to have a lot of batteries.
A lot of batteries. I mean, we run on a 3,000 square foot job, depending on radiuses. I mean, we run through blades left and right, never mind batteries,
Right.
I know we were running, we were using a lot of angle grinders, Milwaukee battery ones, and we were running left and right constantly on a generator charging batteries. So yeah, I think it will. I think it will come. I think development isn't there yet on it as far as it's sustainable for the construction side of landscape. On the lawn care side, yeah, because I mean, you guys are in a trailer. You can set up set up a charging station. Where maybe it's 10 minutes in between. You still the cost. The cost of ownership's there. But if you can get 5 years out of those batteries and weigh them down and make them work, then yeah, you can rotate with the weed whacker and a mower. I see the mowers are becoming more and more. So I think it's Outdoor Pride, who's a pretty big regional player up here. They're predominantly all commercial. I think that they just implemented a couple of battery powered stand-on mowers. I don't know the brand, but I follow them on Instagram and I noticed that. So it's definitely starting to. The footprint's there and it's coming. As far as the small guys that are under 500K, I think it's some time and again, it's a big investment, man. I mean,
a battery, one of the battery mowers are 25K. I mean, you're doubling what your investment is on a regular mower. I mean, if you're doing gas, there's wear and tear on everything, but if I'm going to put 25K into a mower, is it going to last me longer than a gas power mower?
Yeah.
I'm going to get 3 years out of a gas power mower before I got to change it out. So am I going to get it 6 years out of that, that battery power before I got to, replace it?
Yeah.
It's one of those things.
And then you got to think too, you might be forced into it with legislation being passed, California, Massachusetts, New York, Florida, all this legislation. You might not have a choice. I feel like Brookline, Massachusetts was kind of the stepping stone for anti-gas powered equipment, where now those guys can't use backpack blowers anymore. And then they went back because I guess people didn't want to pay $1,500, $2,000 for a leaf cleanup, so they passed legislation that they can use a certain decimal backpack blower from October 1st to November 1st.
Wow.
Yeah, but even California, we've done stuff on this before. When they force legislation, they force in your hand. You kind of have to adapt. And again, that's when you have to pivot with the system where it's all right, we had a system for gas powered equipment. Now you have to come up with this new system for battery powered equipment. And if you can't adapt with the times, then you're going to be out of business. That's the problem because there's a lot of other players with a lot more money and a lot more ability that can do it.
Oh yeah, I think a lot more bigger companies will jump on it ASAP and advance faster on compared to other companies. And it, like you said, it just depends on your locality and their rules and all that stuff. I mean, I see definitely more and more places trying to change to that, especially California trying to go all battery. So, I mean, that's going to eventually, affect everybody in the long run. But I see it changing more and more as battery becomes more available. It's just the cost and that's that's the main thing. And you're always going to have that when you to try something new. So, but I mean, I would love to see more. I mean, more on the hardscaping side. I know there's one company, RC Outdoor, that is actually they put a whole bunch of charging stations in their one trailer, and they're doing some more, of the battery power, but it's not like the big cutoff saws. It's it's more of the smaller stuff. So I mean, it's eventually we'll see it that way, but it might take a couple of years before some landscape companies totally go battery.
I am tempted to go out. Milwaukee has, Milwaukee has a I think it's like a 12-inch cutoff saw. And the reason why Milwaukee, it's not brand preference. It's just our smaller drills and grinders are all Milwaukee. They're just Home Depot. They're accessible that way. So I might try one of those. But after talking to a couple guys that have used those, they said they couldn't use them on a day-to-day. Just the battery life wasn't there. The power, once that battery bar got halfway down, it wasn't there to move the way they need to move. So that's when you're busting. Like I run a computerized still saw, and a couple Huskies. I had that Echo, that Echo demo saw that we used to small stuff, and then an IQ saw. So for right now, that fits my business and my model and what we're doing. I mean, I will start playing with some of that battery stuff, but I wouldn't implement it as to being like the go-to, the main source of cutting.
So Ricky over on Instagram says CLC landscaping is all battery powered. I think that's good as long as you have a way to charge it throughout the day.
Well, like, what are you doing with that? So like my question would be like, are you charging that off the trailer battery, a car battery? Or are you having like a solar panel on the roof that's assisting with charging the car battery and then charging the charging station? A generator, like that. I feel like that's what I mean when I say like infrastructure. It's not infrastructure, but I mean there's got to be something in there. It seems like it's a lot to just charge a battery,
Right. I mean, I wonder too. I'll have to look into that a little bit more. I know, like super lawn trucks a couple years ago, probably 5-6 years ago, when batteries started coming out, they were trying to produce a truck that had all solar panels on top of their trucks, to where you could power battery all day. But the mowers weren't there at that time, so I don't even know if they're still producing those trucks. But I mean, you would have to run something to where it charges off of your truck. I mean, everybody that I know, like J&J does, have some battery powered, but they're running it off the truck in between jobs. So they're charging them between jobs off of the truck as it's running. So, I mean, you're going to have something in place.
That's a challenge, though. So it's like, again, it's like you're like the benefit in the process of that just seems excessive. So it's like if you're doing it again, so like Harbor Freight makes I think it's a 3-foot by 2-foot solar panel. And one of my neighbor down my where we store our equipment uses one for his container, and that's how he lights up his inside his container and charges some of his stuff. But it's not a permit. It's a solar panel that runs down to a couple car batteries that are then plugged into like a GFI switch, like a kind of a hacked up GFI switch. And like to while the car's running, it's like maybe I'm missing something. Maybe we don't know. There's some crazy system involved for it. But all I could think was just like it's like a dump trailer when you're running a dump trailer and it's plugged into the your electrical hookup that charges the battery. Usually that white wire will charge the battery in a dump trailer. So you're getting a trickle charge for the same thing with those batteries, because I can't imagine like a lot of amperage or voltage needed to get those things going. Or you just got to have 30 batteries at $150 a piece, charged up the night before and ready to go.
Right. I mean that's the way we're doing them right now with our battery powered equipment. Is literally we have like 7 batteries that we got to charge every night. So you're charging 7 batteries at night, but I mean that's the only thing that I can see unless you're charging it off your truck, and that's. I mean, like you said, it's one of those things. I mean, the way they're advancing these rapid chargers, but still you're talking 30 minutes. Sometimes people are their jobs are so close together that you're going job to job. So how are you charging that battery if you're only driving let's say 5 minutes down the road? Are you
right? And then what does everybody
time?
preach? Everybody preaches route density. So exactly.
Right.
So like you're getting a bar out of it and then running and you're getting less power. It means you're being more productive. You're being less efficient.
Right. Yeah.
Less productive, less efficient. So it's like, that's why when I say like, I don't like, even I think JC 100% would agree with my statement. It's not there yet. It's not there. It might be, it'll be there it's there for the bigger outfits that have the means and the ability to, buy and charge these batteries or build a charge station for their trailers. For the smaller guy, I don't think it's feasible, unless you want to invest $3,000 into, a collection of batteries and chargers and such.
Yeah, I mean,
maybe a solo guy that doesn't have a huge route.
Right. I mean, just look at the mowers. I mean, I've talked to some of the guys that have the Toro ones that the battery powered. I mean, the battery only lasts like 8 hours. So what if you're out mowing 10 hours? That battery's it's dead after 8 hours. How are you going to charge it if you're out in the field? So I mean, that's one of those things. I feel like the batteries aren't totally there yet on runtime and how long they can run. Once that gets to that point, then yeah, maybe we can see a lot more activity in the green industry with those.
And in the same sense, what are you supposed to do when you get to an overgrown lawn? I'm talking like a lawn that's like 6 to 10 inches long. The battery ain't gonna last, man. Like, dude, a gas powered mowing bogs down. I remember when I was cutting grass, I was having to wheelie it and go over a tall grass a couple times. I mean, it's not now you're talking, okay, so you're charging up 6 batteries. You're gonna use those 6 batteries in an hour cutting some tall, like a half an acre tall grass. This is why I mean, like, gas is king until it gets there. Like, you have to have a manicured lawn and perfectly. It'll go great on commercial because commercials are manicured and taken care of. I don't think on the residential plot that it might be there yet. So like when I say the bigger outfits are probably going to be predominantly more commercial based lawn care. And they're cutting a half an inch a week, quarter inch a week off grass. So
yeah, I see it. All right, so I think we touched on some great stuff this week. Do you have anything else you'd like to add, Josh?
No, I think just to touch base on the systems and processes again. As I've evolved as a person and a business owner, is like the systems change from year to year based off how the company grows. I make more mistakes in my daily professional life than anything. But the biggest thing is to learn from them and take, you don't necessarily learn a lesson from the positives. You're always going to remember the negatives. I screwed up on this bill, or I messed up on this cut, or I talked to this customer the wrong way. So it's learning off that and implementing that into your system. Like, think about, like, everybody says no one's going to do it the way you would do it. Right. Well, if you put that and simplify that in paper, they have no choice but to do it the way you do it. And you're basically handing that down. It's like, getting grandma's recipe for the meatballs. It's the same thing. You might not do it the same way, but it's right there when you're going down and trying to copycat it. So simplify it. You start with your mowers. When we first talked, you're going in and you're checking the oil on the machine. You're making sure things are good. You're checking the oil on your car. You're checking air pressure. Make sure you get your sheets. That's the system, and then you pass it on to your helper and it goes through that way. And the same thing with pavers, you dig it inches, you're putting in 6 inches of base, an inch of sand, and the 3-inch paver. It's not rocket science.
Yeah. I don't think it is.
Learn from your mistakes.
Put it down and let them know, so that way you can keep going with your business. I agree with that. Totally agree.
And it should change year. It should change year to year as you grow. You're not going to know everything. You're not going to experience everything. I haven't experienced everything. I think I adapt fast is what I do. My whole life's been pretty chaotic that I think I've been forced to adapt to different situations many times. And, I implement that in my business. And, I've made some pretty fucked up mistakes that have cost me a lot of money. And I can guarantee you I won't make those mistakes again.
Oh yeah, I mean that's the best thing to do is to learn from our mistakes, and if you can put it in a process or a system to help you in the long run from year to year, that's the best way to do it. Learn how to adapt and let people that are working for you learn that also, so that way they can adapt too when it comes down in the long run.
We'll have to touch more on this next week when I'm not as distracted by this dog pulling on my arm right now. I wanted to get more and more into this, man, but I wasn't planning on this morning. I failed my system with the dog and my processes in the morning, and it's biting me in the ass right now.
See, that's your problem.
I thought it was good. I was like, I'm gonna go to Dunkies, get a coffee. Yeah, gotta learn from them. I learned from my mistakes. I'm hiding in the attic next week.
Yep. All right. So we had some great things here, guys. Remember to always listen to us on Spotify, wherever you guys are listening to us. Check us out on YouTube, Instagram, anywhere you can. Thank you guys for being on. Thank you for watching and listening. Thank you, Josh, for your processes and your dog fun. Go have fun for the rest of the day, guys, and enjoy.